because it's been one of the craziest weeks. It's one of the busiest weeks of the year. Some may say it's better than preseason football or the NFL draft, and we're here to break it all down. So we're going to go over basically every single team signings, only going to talk about the big ones or ones that make a difference or ones we think are funny to us. And we'll dive right into it, starting with the Buffalo Bills. And this is going in order, AFC to NFC East. So Buffalo Bills sign a backup quarterback, Mitch Trubisky. But the big story was really they cut everybody. That Josh Allen contract is kicking in this year. Jordan Poyer is gone. Tre'Davious White is gone. Pretty much every major name they had on there, just because they signed that Khalil Mack deal. Khalil Mack is a little bit older now, but they're paying him over $20 million for a senior citizen.
For Von Miller, right?
For Von Miller, yeah. And then basically everyone else on that defense is gone. So Bills going through a soft rebuild. We said after last year, their window would be slammed shut. And you had a home game versus the Chiefs, couldn't get it done. And now the Bills going into a full rebuild here.
Yeah, so they lost not only just the players they had to cut, like Jordan Poyer and Tre'Davious White, they lost Gabe Davis. They replaced him with Curtis Samuel. Mac Hollins they signed as well. But other than that, a lot of losses there. Bills should definitely take a step back this year.
Yeah, Bills are probably going to take a step back. And this is just what happens when you have to sign your winning quarterback a lot of money, and you have Josh Allen on that team, and he's a top 10. Some people would put him in the top 5 there. So that's just kind of what comes with the territory at this point. But you are blessed because you're in the same division as the Patriots, who won't spend on defense. Same division as Miami, who didn't really do that much either. Major headline was them losing Christian Wilkins, who's the kind of anchor in the middle of that defensive line last year. He ends up goes to Vegas, leaves Miami. So if you're going to leave Miami, Vegas is about as good as you can get as a replacement. But, I mean, you sign Johnny Smith, offensive lineman, you beefed up there. You got Isaiah Wynn, re-signed him and Robert Jones, and then you also signed Jack Driscoll, and then you also signed a center, Aaron Brewer, to a 3-year contract there, and then Shaq Barrett as well. That's a huge addition on the defensive line there.
Yeah.
So was able to pick up some good pieces there. And then we have players like Kendall Fuller that you picked up at corner. Nick Needham re-signed, and then you were able to get Jordan Poyer from the Buffalo Bills there. So a lot of defensive signings here. Jonathan Harris as well, Neville Gilmore. So very defensive heavy for the Miami Dolphins, and as they should be. Draft, basically all you need is an offensive line and a run game, and then everything else was defense there. So does this make you more optimistic about Miami heading into next year?
I think it makes me more optimistic because of what's happening to the Bills, what's the current state of the Patriots and Jets right now. So with their defense, if they can play it to their ability, they also got Jordan Brooks as well, then they can win the division next year, as long as they can stay afloat at the end of the season.
Yeah, and I like just the leadership that's going to be on this defense now, because you already have Jalen Ramsey, been to a Super Bowl and won it. You have Jordan Poyer, who has had moments in the playoffs at least, and then you have Shaq Barrett, who also went to the Super Bowl and won it. So this is going to be a hungry team. It's going to be a veteran team, and I feel like that'll also help Tua and Mike McDaniel a lot. And then you add that with Tyreek Hill and his experience on offense. Miami Dolphins, successful free agency, I would say, for them.
Yeah, especially when we went over them in the preview, we saw how bad their salary cap was. But for them to be able to sign some of the players they have, I don't think it's a perfect offseason by any means, but I think rather the Bills taking a step back and them kind of staying where they were, I think, with some of the losses they had and how they replaced them, then I think the Dolphins should feel comfortable going into next season, potentially winning the division.
Yeah, I think you should feel comfortable, because really, like, you would get cooked. Like, your offense couldn't do anything in big games, but your defense would also get cooked. And then you lose Christian Wilkins. He's your big guy, where if you do spend money on him, you probably don't have as much money to fill 2 linebackers, 3 defensive tackles, 2 corners, and Jordan Poyer at safety there. So communication will at least be better. And then you have a new defensive coordinator at well. So A+ for Miami. Very impressive.
Oh, yeah.
And then after that, not impressive, the New England Patriots. So first move they make, they're like, all right, let's go out there and get Antonio Gibson. the running back from Washington. Because as a Patriots fans, we know one thing they need is another running back. They're obsessed. They're like how the Jaguars are obsessed with mid-tier wide receivers. The New England Patriots are obsessed with mid-tier running backs. They're like,
Oh yeah.
okay, a guy who's mid, let's go ahead and overpay for him. I mean, 3-year deal, 11 million. That's fine. And then they're like, all right, we need a wide receiver too. Let's re-sign Kendrick Bourne, sign KJ Osborne, and then re-sign Jalen Rager. And then you end up bringing in Austin Hooper, and you got a deal done with Hunter Henry. But everything else was basically you re-sign some people, and then you got Taki and Antonio Gibson.
Yeah. The start of this offseason for the Patriots have been a little underwhelmed. We know they have their 3rd overall pick. Where will they go? Is it Marvin Harrison? Is it a quarterback? But one thing I was hoping for with Gerard Mayo's first season, like first offseason, was is he going to break the mold of Belichick? Is he going to go out and get a receiver? They were in on Calvin Ridley and Keenan Allen, but they didn't open their wallets up enough for Calvin Ridley, and he wasn't interested in going there anyways. And then for Keenan Allen, they didn't want to give up a 4th-round pick to get him. So here they are now. The receiver core might be worse than it was last year, if that's even possible. And making the same moves that they would have made with Belichick. So I'm not overly optimistic. I'm going to give it like a D so far for their offset. They haven't really gotten that much better.
Yeah, it's a D so far, and it's like, what actually are we doing here? Because we have all of this free money that you want to spend. Everyone is talking about how it's Bill Belichick that doesn't want to go out there and spend big money on wide receivers. I'm like, okay, let's go through a year without Bill Belichick and see how different it is. And it feels like the exact same football team. And then you're like, okay, what hasn't changed? It's the owner. So who was making these decisions to not sign big wide receivers, to get rid of guys and not having to pay money and then maneuver the salary cap so we're not being cheap here basically, or we're not signing big name guys? It's like, okay, was it all on Bill Belichick, or was some of that rubber crap putting pressure on Bill Belichick and them just having the wherewithal to go out there and then manipulate the salary cap better than any head coach when he had Tom Brady and he was taking discounts for the team there, and Brady was the one who enabled this. But like, this is the year where you have all of this free salary cap. If you're going to go out there and draft a Jaden Daniels, you're going to draft a Jake May, you need to have all of the pieces around him. And you're terrible at drafting wide receivers. And you're terrible at developing them as well. And your head coach is a defensive guy, brought in a new offensive coordinator, which is good. But like, you're still, as a franchise, you haven't had that good of luck developing or drafting wide receivers even before or after Bill Belichick. So what really has changed here? And then everyone's like, okay, it was all on Bill Belichick before. Now he isn't even there. So you're not going to get the defensive players that are like, I want to play for the greatest defensive head coach in history, which was a big draw before when you got players like Stephon Gilmore, Darrelle Revis, Aqib Talib,
Matt Judon.
Yeah. Brandon Browner there, and then you got one of the best defensives in the league, and you could be a part of that. They're like, do I want to go take my chances with the new rookie head coach? Not really. Like, if we had Belichick, we probably could have gotten someone like Christian Wilkins, who is available, beef up the defensive line. But this is just more of the same with a worse head coach. And it's no shade on their new head coach. It's just like, we still haven't seen him perform yet. But it's like, okay, I guess it wasn't all on Bill Belichick.
Yeah, and now I feel like with them not getting Calvin Ridley or Keenan Allen, now at this point, the receiver room in free agency is not looking the greatest. I think at this point, I'm leaning more towards them getting Marvin Harrison and then getting a quarterback in the 2nd round. And then, because you guys are 4 years out of being competitive. Go out, get a quarterback to bridge along. You signed Jacoby Brissett, who's familiar with the system. Just suck this next year, go after a quarterback next year, and just build the team around him first. Because whoever they get, whether it's Jaden Daniels or Drake May, I don't think that they're going to be in a great situation to start at all.
No, they're not going to be in a good situation to start. And then what does it say that, we don't want to give up a 4th-round pick for Keenan Allen? That was the sway there? Are you kidding me? Like, what receiver in the 4th round are you going to draft that's better than Keenan Allen? Oh, wait, you're the Patriots. Nobody. And then back-to-back years where you lose a wide receiver to the Titans. And I get they're kind of the retirement home for the Titans, but DeAndre Hopkins said, nope, I'm good. Calvin Ridley said, nope, I'm good. And if it's a question of a few $1 million, sure. Did the Tennessee Titans overpay for him? Yes. But was he the best wide receiver available in free agency? Yes. So that is what's going to demand and command more money in the market because he had all the leverage to say, hey, you need a wide receiver. There's not that many great options out there. So I want more money because I get to take advantage of, guess what? Basic economics, supply and demand. And there wasn't that many great wide receivers out there. And the Patriots are still pinching pennies over a few $1,000,000. Okay, well, have fun having one of the worst offenses to watch in the league.
Yeah, no kidding. And then the Jets, they went out, they signed Tyrod Taylor.
Ooh, they got a backup quarterback.
They got a backup quarterback, something they did not have last year. They got Tyron Smith, which is huge for them, somebody who desperately needs offensive line help. They signed a few other offensive linemen as well.
They got Morgan Moses, from the Ravens.
Yep, they brought in John Simpson, and then they also re-signed Greg the Leg Zuerlein, so they're moving upward, I would say the Jets are.
Yeah, the Jets are moving upward. I like that they beefed up the offensive line. It's definitely a weakness this year. So the fact that they are able to go out there, get 2 offensive tackles, you get John Simpson there, and then Tyron Smith is a little bit older. Morgan Moses is a little bit older as well, but you're able to acquire him via a trade, give up a 4th-round pick, and then you end up swapping a 4th-round pick and a 6th-round pick there. So you didn't give up too much, and then you finally get to beef up that offensive line. So hopefully that keeps Aaron healthy if he's not running for president, or at least Tyrod Taylor. Just give these guys a little bit more time to give Garrett Wilson the ball, and then pick up a wide receiver in the draft, with the Jets aren't terrible at. So I think they're in a good spot. So decent overall.